a little bit, it's very similar to the one we just did, although it's asking us for a whole bunch of things. Number 4, since it just has an M in the front, that is actually just looking for the central angle that goes with arc ACB. So if we want to look at that, and the reason that there's 3 letters, usually you would just go the shortest route from A to B. But if they want you to take the long route, they have to have a letter in the middle telling you kind of how to connect your dots. So you need to go from A to C all the way around to B.
Whoa.
So this is asking for that degree measure. If it just says M and then it has the arc, that means the degree measure. When it says length, we're actually having to do the proportion and solve for the length of it. So to find this, it's all of the circle except for these 40 degrees. So 360, I know the answer in my head, right? 360 minus 40 is what's left, which would be 320 degrees. That would be the measure of arc ACB in terms of degrees. So to answer number 5 here, which is using that arc, I would have to set up a proportion for it. So I'm going to do that up here. So the length of the arc over the circumference of the circle, which is 2 pi r, equals the degree measure over the whole circle. Now, I could reduce that. I could take the zeros off. I don't have to reduce it at all. I'm going to take the zeros out, and then I'm just going to go with what I have right now. So this would be 36 times x, just cross multiplying. So basically, I reduced by 10. 32 times 2 times pi times 4. I'm going to do 8 times 32 and just keep pi in there. 256 pi. Now to get x, divide by 36. That can reduce if you want to leave it in terms of pi. If I was doing that, it would be 64 pi over 9. But I'm going to actually figure out what that is. So 64 times pi, so I'm using my calculator, divided by 9, 22.34. So that one would be 22.34 inches, because the radius was in inches, and that would be the length of that one. So that's those two. They kind of go together. 6 is degrees again, because it's just m. It's not the length. So A to B to C, so I have to think about how that goes. A around B to C. Okay. Well, I need to know what this piece is to figure that out. And there's a hint up here, actually. It's saying that angle ADC is congruent to angle BDC. That means that these two arc pieces here are equal to each other. So if this entire, what was left over was 320, if I divide that in half, because these are equal, then that would be 160 degrees for each of those parts. So from A to B to C is 160 plus 40, which would be 200 degrees. Because you have to add the 160 and the 40. And again, the 160 was because these are equal in the instructions, and that was 320. So that gives you 160 apiece. That gives me that arc. Let's see, did they ask me for that length of that? A, B, C, no? BAC. Well, BAC would actually be the same, but I'll do that later. It's just going around the other way. So that one, that's done for number 6. Number 7, arc CB. Well, that's just from C to B. Trying to color coordinate here. That's 160 degrees. And they actually did want the length of CB right here for number 8. So the length CB, you put that over the circumference, which I already know from here, 2 pi r, that's 8 pi, equals the arc from CB, which is 160, over the whole circle, which is 360. I can reduce by 10 just to make my calculations easier. So 36 times this length, I'm going to call that 36x. 16 times 8 pi is 128 pi. Divide that by 36. So 128 pi divided by 36, 11.17. For that one. And that's still inches, because the radius was in inches. And then the last part is asking for the length of arc BAC. So I need to go back and look at my circle and look at where BAC would be. So start at B, then go to A around the edge of the circle, and then go around the circle to C, because this is an arc, so it's going around the circle. So that's 160 degrees plus 40 degrees, that's 200 degrees. So 200 degrees out of the 360. And the arc length out of the entire circumference, which is 8 pi, it's 2 pi r. And then cross multiply and solve. I can reduce by 10 easily. I could reduce more, but you don't have to reduce at all there if you don't want to. So I'm looking at 36x. 20 times 8, 160 pi. And then divide by 36. So 160 pi divided by 36, 13.96. So that's 13.96 inches. That's all the ones they wanted us to do.